tension erupted. Numbers of Russian aircraft off of North America's west coast has stretched Air Force units thin, a top service official in Alaska said Wednesday. Lieutenant General David Crum have certainly seen an increase in Russian activity. He intercepted over 60 aircraft last year. That's the most action the Alaska Air Defense Identification Zone, a region spanning 200 nautical miles that reaches past U.S. territory and into international airspace, has seen since the Soviet Union fell in 1991. In comparison, the Anchorage Daily News reported in 2015 that the ADIZ averaged about 10 incursions by Russian aircraft each year, like Tu-95 Bear bombers, anti-submarine aircraft, and intelligence collection planes. In response, the Air Force deploys F-22 fighter jets, E-3 airborne surveillance planes and KC-135 tankers to escort Russian aircraft away. The flights come as world powers jockey for influence in the Arctic, a growing hotspot of domestic and military activity. While there is a strain on our units, I will tell you that they're managing it very, very effectively, said Crum, who serves as head of U.S. Northern Command's Alaska branch, NORAD's Alaskan region, and the 11th Air Force under Pacific Air Forces. The military sends F-22s from JBER to meet up with the Russians because the Raptors are based nearby in Alaska, but Crum indicated the Air Force may AFB, Alaska, could offer a fourth-generation jet alternative. Northcom and NORAD boss General Glenn Van Herk warned House lawmakers on April 14 that the U.S. must be able to detect and respond to all potential airborne threats as Russia improves its bomber fleets and other long-range aircraft. The Defense Department is considering its options for modernizing a network of satellites, radars and other sensors and assets that would help the military pick up on suspicious behavior sooner and to collaborate across the force to address it. Aspects of that network will be tested at the upcoming Northern Edge exercise that begins May 3, including technologies like the new F-15EX Eagle II fighter jet, SpaceX's Starlink Internet satellites, inventions from the Air Force Rapid Capabilities Office, and electronic signal jammers. The spike in intercepts could factor into the scenario that participants face at Northern Edge, Air Force Times previously reported. Here looking at what modern warfare could be in the future, and that includes scenarios like Russian incursion into American airspace, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Boyer, the lead planner for Northern Edge, told reporters March 31. Obviously, he see a lot of interest and value in nations' interest in the Arctic and he want to make sure that those are protected and preserved in an appropriate manner. Crum said that in addition to tests in the Arctic of air and sea-launched missiles with longer range and better accuracy, around 50 Soviet-era installations are being revamped and utilized for Russian military forces. They're using air, sea, and land-based forces to secure their locations up in the Arctic, Crum added. The U.S. military is bolstering its own Arctic presence. U.S. aircraft and warships are increasingly active in the European Arctic, often training with allies in areas near sensitive Russian military sites. In Alaska, the Air Force is deploying 54 F-35s, the only U.S. fifth-generation fighter jet aside from the F-22, which the service says will make it the state with the highest concentration of combat-coded, fifth-generation fighter aircraft. The Army recently released its own Arctic strategy, which focused on Alaska, and the Navy is operating more in that area. but aerospace defense remains the emphasis in the region, reflected in part by plans to upgrade NORAD's sensors, according to Joshua Tallis, a research scientist at CNA, a non-profit research and analysis group. In the Pacific Arctic, the U.S. has moved to address the indigenous peoples organizations and non-Arctic observer countries to pass the Arctic Council chairmanship from Iceland to the Russian Federation. In true multilateral fashion, the group will collaborate on topics of mutual concern, including environmental protection, search and rescue plans, and access to resources. 15,000 American service members along with vessels, aircrafts, and armaments convened this week in Alaska to run training exercises on the unfamiliar terrain. Other steps, like assessing the need for a deep water port and further developing unmanned technology to monitor the sea, could bolster the U.S.'s regional standing.